Coming up, we're going to talk about our experience at MegaCon 2017 in this episode of DIS Pop. DIS Pop is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel, experts at helping you plan the perfect vacation. Visit them on the web at dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. Well, hello, everybody. I am your host, Ryno Clavin, and joined by my co-host over here, Craig Williams.
Ahoy, hoy.
Yes. Well, we want to talk to you about our experience at MegaCon. You probably saw we put out some tweets out there. We're sharing some photos, all that fun stuff. But we would have talked about this last week, except for we had a pretty full week with the DIS 20th anniversary event, which was great. So thank you, everybody that stopped and said hello, and lots of people who said they enjoyed DIS Pop, which was very nice to hear. All 7 of you were wonderful to stop and say.
Yes.
That, so
They all were.
No, somebody was wearing a shirt. It was nice.
No, there was 7.
It was one of the 7. But yeah, so I thought what we could do was just chat about our experience, what we just give it a little overview, and then say maybe what our favorite thing was that we did over the weekend, and just kind of give people a heads up on how to navigate. Because if this is something that piques their interest and they're coming into town, MegaCon is having a Tampa version at the end of September into the first day of October, and those tickets will go on sale June 15th of this year. You can buy those on the website. But anyway, we'll talk about all that jazz. So let's hop right in here.
I'm going to start by asking you, what kind of convention is MegaCon? Who does it cater to? And when does it actually normally happen? How many days is it? All that, that important pre-information.
Well, excellent. Well, it's MegaCon for a couple of years here. It takes place here in the Orlando Convention Center, just right on I-Drive, right between Disney and Universal. And it happens over 4 days. It starts on a Thursday, which is like a half day. Usually goes from 4 to 9 p.m. around there. Then Friday and Saturday are 10 to 7 p.m. Sundays usually ends a little early at 5 p.m. It seems like, because the dates are out for next year as well, it seems that next year it's going to be May 24th to the 27th, that they have settled on Memorial Day weekend as being their kind of their date of when this is happening.
Interesting.
So it's good, if you're coming down for a Memorial Day trip, you got Monday off, you might as well make a little event of it. But it is the Southeast's largest fan convention.
Oh,
I did not know that.
but fans of what?
Fans of,
I need to know.
Fans of so many things. It's a multi-genre convention. 4-day event. There's panels, shoppings, costumes, contests, tons of stuff.
Well, you forgot about the celebrities.
Activities. Well, this year we had some pretty big celebrities, and you met one of them too, and we'll have to talk about that. You actually met 2 of them. So, but this year the big show thing was the Rocky Horror Picture Show, because we had Tim Curry was out there. We had Barry Bostwick, Little Nell, I said Patricia Arquette, but that's not who I meant. Patricia Quinn.
Yeah.
And Meatloaf canceled, and then he uncanceled. So Meatloaf was here too. So it was pretty big deal. Stan Lee made his final Florida convention appearance here over the weekend. They ended up having I'm not sure how to say your name, Famke Jensen.
Yeah, that sounds good enough.
Of the Natasha. Oh, it's not Natasha. She doesn't play Natasha. She plays from GoldenEye. Her most known role from GoldenEye, not from the X-Men as Jean Grey. Alice Cooper was here, and boy, does he look exactly the same as I always imagined Alice Cooper would look forever.
Yeah, no, and I had to explain to you many times over how many Alice Cooper songs are actually popular, despite you only knowing one.
That'd be my Frankenstein. Thank you, Wayne's World. But we did have this theory. We did want to go up, and I'm sure he gets it a lot, but we wanted to do, we're not worthy. Yeah. We're not worthy. But then I was afraid he'd have us removed by security, so we didn't.
And then the last one worth mentioning, Mr. Tom Wilson from Back to the Future.
And the 2 kids from Back to the Future. The 2 kids from Stranger Things, they were kind of a hit too.
Yeah, but you know what? When 2 kids are asking for both of them to be in a photo, $100 for those 2. Stanley asked for $100. That's fair. He's a legend. He's a legend,
yeah.
These 2 kids, they made 1 season of a show that was a big hit, and they weren't even the 2 biggest stars of it. So,
I would say because 11 was a big star, but she wasn't there. It was Gaten Matarazzo. I'm not sure how to say his name, but and Caleb McLaughlin. I believe Caleb was Simba. Is that kid? I didn't see them. Couldn't see them at the table, so I'm not sure. But I'm gonna look that up while I talk about this really quick here. But so how should we do this? Should we just explain the whole experience of what you do and what you should do?
Yeah, well, okay. So there's I'll just break down the entire floor plan and kind of how it's working. So you briefly went over it. There's multiple sections. There's the celebrity area, and the celebrity section is where they'll have all their booths set up.
He was young Simba on Broadway in The Lion King. I second guessed myself for a second after I said it. So anyway,
he seems talented enough for that. So the celebrity area takes up a massive amount of space. It's also very wide open because the lines don't stretch back for miles.
Yeah.
So this is also a very popular place for people to congregate and take lots of pictures of their cosplaying. There is a cosplay alley there too, with some photo backdrops.
Yeah, that was new this year. The backdrops.
Yeah, no, and that was a good area for people to kind of meet and mingle. Then the majority of the floor is vendors. So these are either people who have stores online, brick and mortar stores, just come out for these conventions, who will sell third-party
if you're
licensed merchandise.
Hey, you know where I need a patch from the Star Trek Enterprise? I know where I can get it.
Yeah.
Here.
It's like if you've been searching Hot Topic for that perfect pop vinyl, you couldn't find it. Show up here, you'll find it. Yeah. Maybe old movie posters, T-shirts, anything. If you're looking for a sword, if you need to find a sword person,
lots of swords here. Yeah,
this is where you go. So this is probably like over half of the space is just for this. And then you also have Artist Alley, which this is where this is my favorite section of it. This is where you have, freelance commission-based artists who are just looking for a way to get their stuff out there, sell it a little bit more. And this is where they'll be set up, and you just get to see a lot of creative, unique pieces that you might never get to see before. Unlike going to buy prints and other artwork from bigger places where they might charge more, I actually love this. You get it right from the artist. A lot of times they'll sign it too right away in front of you, and it's for a great price. Usually, they'll work out deals with the more you buy, the better money you get it for. So
yeah, I agree, and it's a place where like you're gonna find stuff that speaks to you. You know what I mean? It's not just like, oh, it's cool, there's this one picture of this gremlin that I like, but it's like, no, you might find multiple people making gremlin prints, and one's going to be in a specific theme. And my favorite thing to do is get gifts here. Like I like to get, because the prints come in all different sizes. Sometimes you can get one the size of a card, and it just makes for a nice addition into somebody's gift. Or what I do for my friend Steven is I've been getting him posters of like the Parks and Rec characters, but it was like somebody made up movie posters. So it was like Burt Macklin, and it was called The Hunt for the President's Jewels or something. And then there's another one that was like Ron, and it was Breakfast. And then there's a Beverly Leslie one. Beverly Leslie is a character on Will and Grace, not on Parks and Recreation. Leslie, nope. But anyway, lots of fun stuff, and this is the area I frequent, repeat. I go through. I do. It warrants more than one trip up and down.
Yeah, but no, MegaCon, you're going to spend most of your time walking around the floor, whether you're looking for stuff in the vendor area or if you'd rather look for unique stuff in Artist Alley. This is where you're going to spend pretty much the majority of your time. They do have panels, as you mentioned too. The Stranger Things kids had a panel, which was a Q&A. Tom Wilson had a Q&A. Some of the Rocky Horror stars had a Q&A, and that's what it is. It's a lot of panels just based strictly on question and answer procedures, and that's great if you enjoy that. I know both you and I were not really fans of Q&A panels. We prefer hearing a little bit more meat and not just the same.
I want like the making
answers.
Of, or maybe you're going to reveal new information. It's hard when you're like, if you are such a big fan of this, like the chances are you're not, unless you just enjoy being in the room listening to the person talk about it. But it's kind of like the second the first person goes up there and was like, what was it like to wear the costume? You're like, oh, God, come on. We know what it was like. He gave this interview to Entertainment Weekly. Get over yourself.
Yeah. The big thing, though, here is walking around and seeing all the cosplayers. Even, you can enjoy the convention just going, not being a cosplayer. And, that's Kylie and I, we got a lot of enjoyment out of seeing the different styles. Even sometimes going up and just asking people, thinking like, okay, well, is this who you're trying to be? And then, sometimes then they'll explain, well, kind of, but this is my own new creation on top of it too.
This is my version.
And you get that style out of it. You can spend hours just walking around, just looking for people, seeing the costumes.
Honestly, that's my main thing about this. I love watching the cosplay people, and I love it at a convention like this because as opposed to like we've said, we've been to D23, Star Wars Celebration, or the Power Ranger one I went to. I mean, I like that one too because being such a big fan of Power Rangers, I like to see people be other things than just Power Rangers from Power Rangers, and you see it there. But like here you get to see, in a D23 it's Disney stuff, it's Star Wars stuff. Here it's a little bit of everything, but you also get some of that stuff you love. Like I would say there was a really awesome, while we're on the subject of the cosplay, what do you think your favorite one was? Because I really liked the Darkwing Jedi Knight.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we only saw like one Harley Quinn, so that probably had to be the best.
God, It's just my least. Who's just like, you know what? I can't wait to cosplay as Harley Quinn.
Yeah, you along with about 200 other people
There were
throughout
so
4 days.
many of them. I'm just so over that one.
Yeah, no, there was way too many Harley
a lot
Quinns.
of Deadpools.
There might have been too many Deadpools. There may have been a little bit too many Jack Sparrows. And this year there was like an enormous amount of Bells. And I do get that though, because Paige O'Hara was one of the people you could meet.
Yeah, they had 4 Disney. There was Prince Eric, who also is the voice of Spider-Man. That's why I think there were so many Spider-Man. Well, there's a lot of Spider-Man at these sort of things. Anyway. Spider-Mans? 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 Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. But it... gosh, I can't remember his name right now, but he's the voice of Eric, the voice of Pocahontas, the voice of Ariel, and there was one more.
No, the voice of Ariel was not there.
Not the voice
that
of
would
Ariel.
Be
She
Jodie
was there with
Benson.
us. Just
we
kidding.
Saw her sing
Just
live.
kidding. It was Belle, Eric, Pocahontas, and then there was a 4th one that I cannot remember. It was another princess too. But I'm not. I like to. So okay. So let's talk about that celebrity meet and greet area for a little bit too. I know you talked about how it's like wide open. So Craig and I spent a good amount of one day just staring at Tom Wilson.
Yeah.
Because they have their booths, their tables set up, and it's all organized by lines, and they're there. You can just go up and talk to them if you want. It doesn't cost money to say hello, but it does cost money for autographs, and it does cost money for photos at a table, or you can sign up for the professional package if you want. Some of those, some people you can probably only do professional packages, I would think, but I don't know.
Yeah, like Tim Curry was only professional.
Yeah,
he wasn't
I don't
coming
think
out
he had
and
a
sitting at the
tabletop.
table.
Yeah.
I did enjoy I did enjoy this aspect of it because I knew I was going to meet Tim Curry, but I didn't have plans on meeting any other celebrities when we were kind of going into the
Barry
weekend.
Bostwick.
So, you and I joked about it on the very first day. We're like, Barry, maybe we should just go say hi to Barry. But what do you say?
We just
hi?
sat there and we stared and we watched him talk to other people. He was very social too. He came out from around the table. He was chatting with everybody. The people that went up were there for like 10 minutes, so we watched him for quite a bit of time.
And I really wanted to go up and say, and we're like, what do we say?
What do you say that's not different than what other people say? Like, oh, love your work. Oh, thanks. That's the first time I've heard that.
Yeah, it's like, do I have to go home and watch an old episode of Spin City to find like one joke that he probably doesn't remember, but be like, that was a good one?
Well, my thing was I was going to bring up his Pepsi commercial when they're all unzipping who they are underneath, and it's like Barry Bonds. I'm not Barry Bonds. I'm Barry Bostwick. And then the girl goes, "Who's Barry Bostwick?" What a horrible thing for me to have brought up for him. But loved your work on Cougar Town. That's what I would have said.
Oh, and then that's the next thing was then kind of like stalking Tom Wilson from far away and being like, okay.
And he looks like Biff now.
Yeah, he looks exactly like Biff. He is, such a huge part of our childhood and a lot of other people's growing up ages. And so to see him there and be like, you know what, this is just amazing enough to see him there. I don't know what else I would say besides just being like, hey, love Back to the Future like every other person. But luckily for me, like by the time we were leaving, after seeing Tim Curry, after seeing Stan Lee, then finally I noticed that he was standing up to walk away, and Kylie's just like, you got to go talk to him. You got to go say hi.
This is what Kylie's great at.
Yeah, she pushes us into doing.
She makes us initiate the conversation.
Yeah, and so I did that, and I had just listened to a podcast with him on it recently, where he was able to like really go into depth with some Back to the Future stuff, but then also explain like he gets out cards with all the answers you could ever want to know from Back to the Future, so he doesn't have to listen to the questions. So it's like
great.
the basics, working with. Why can't I think of
Michael J. Fox?
Michael J. Fox's name.
You sir deserve to
I
burn.
know.
So did you get a photo with him, or did you just chat with him?
No. I just went up and I told him like, hey, I really enjoyed listening to some of your stories and your insight on the podcast. One of the best interviews I've ever listened to. It was really amazing. So thank you for sharing all of that information on that medium. And he had the softest hands. He shook my hand. And like before
I held it for an unusual amount of time.
Yeah, before we even got to that point, like when I first walked up, I was just like, "Can I please just say hi real quick?" And he's, before saying like, "Hi, I'm Tom," he said, hey, "What's your name?" And then he asked Kylie's name. He's like, "Well, I'm Tom." And we chatted for maybe a minute, nothing more than that. But he was the nicest guy. He asked Kylie if she listened to that podcast too, and she was like, no. And he's like, okay, well, you can leave then. And he was just such a nice man. And I like, that was enough to sell it to me. Like, I wanted to come back the next day to get that photo with him and to be like, you know what?
With the DeLorean too. He had a photo DeLorean opportunity.
But I didn't have enough time on Sunday.
Yeah.
Ran out of time, didn't make it.
It can sneak up on you sometimes. So like I always say the first thing you want to do when you come into these conventions is grab one of these guys right here. You need your program. I know you might not think it's useful, but it will be useful. I go to the master schedule of where all the panels are. Check it out. See if there's anything that piques your interest. Like Craig said, there was a lot of Q&A panels. Not usually always into those. They did do a Rocky Horror one that included all the Rocky Horror guests with the exception of Tim Curry in it, and that one was pretty cool. But one of those that you're not always going to be around. It's like an older movie, and I do want to, I have a connection to that as you do, and it's like so. You just kind of ask yourself like, what's important to me? Highlight it, circle it, whatever. If there's celebrities, I like to just wander and see them. Yeah. It makes me nervous to meet them, but I do like to. I was gonna get that Tim Curry photo op too, but I just couldn't do it. I got too nervous. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, no, he was very rough off. So I don't think he'll be with us much longer.
But you were happy to have done it. It was a.
Oh yeah, no,
the photo came out good.
Yeah, no, it was absolutely worth the money. And Kylie and I, like, the stroke has left him in very, very bad shape. But you could even tell, like, when we walked up in line, he was starting to kind of fade. Like, he seemed like he didn't want to be there, but he looked right at both of us, and we both smiled and waved at him. And then by the time we got up for our picture, then, you can say we're liars, but it felt like he made a little bit more effort to like try to keep his eyes wide open.
Well, it probably takes a lot out of him,
Yeah.
Because it was a pretty severe stroke. I mean,
yeah, and a lot of people get these photos done, and it's a lot over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. So we were going through, and you're like looking at people's photos on Instagram and Twitter, and like, okay, no, he clearly did put a little bit more effort into ours than the average. There was somewhere he just looked like he was gonna turn into it and go crazy on them. But it was a great experience meeting him, as well as Stan Lee, which ended up being a surprise from Pete because he couldn't use his photo op. You couldn't use it, so then I came in third in line, and
hey, third in line, first in my heart.
Well, that's all that matters. But it was one of those things. It's always thought it would be cool to meet Stan Lee, and heard a lot of stories
about Florida appearance too. So you kind of you got it right up. Like we don't know that we're ever going to be around him again.
No, and he's 91, so he's old. And
oh no, he's 95. Craig.
Oh, he's 95.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So you did good.
He's 95.
Yeah.
But he doesn't look a day over 91 then, because a lot of people said, oh, he looks like he's just been molded into that position and sits there. But when we saw him, he was saying hi to everyone, and he was joking around with one guy. Like, one guy in front of us had his hat pulled down too far, so the photo wasn't showing up, and so he was cracking jokes at him. It was actually a really delightful experience. So
I actually I
think it was worth it.
They sent us a highlights thing, and I hadn't seen this, but there were two different proposals that happened at MegaCon, and one of them was, it was okay. So one was a proposal, and the other one was a renewal of vows for a couple that celebrated their 25th marriage anniversary at MegaCon, and Stan Lee presided over the vows.
Oh,
so it was
cool.
really cool, and in the video he's very with it.
Yeah.
So it was like one of those where I was starting to think like, oh, is he starting to fade on us? But he's He's got it.
He's sharp as a tack. So luckily, we'll probably get to see him again at D23. There's no way he's not going to be up there since it's going to be so
Big
Marvel centric.
Yeah, that would be cool.
So yeah, he's still doing fine. He might not. He's not coming back to Florida, but it's not like he's dying tomorrow.
No, but he does so many cons that I can't. I understand why he's just like this. This is it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's probably reeling back. I mean, God, Lord, the man's 95 years old. Deserves some time to him, but he's very appreciative of his fans. I know that.
Him. So switching gears. You actually did cosplay 2 of the days there.
I did.
I
yes.
did not.
This was my first cosplay experience.
Yeah. How is seeing the convention? How is being there different from the cosplay aspect? If we have people who want to go next year and are thinking, would I rather just go in my normal clothes and appreciate it, or would I rather be a part of it?
Well, here's where I would recommend, like, you... okay, so I'll talk about the tickets really quick, because I think this kind of rolls into that.
Okay.
So you can do, like, a day-to-day ticket if you want. I would always say you never really want to miss Saturday, because if you are into watching the costumes, like Craig and I said, that, you know, we enjoy the Artist Alley, but I also really go because I love seeing all the really creative cosplays and what people come up with, you know, the really inventive ones. And that usually seems to be like Saturday or Sunday are the super busy days. So this is like a tiered pricing, because Thursday, so it was only a couple hours, it was like $20 in advance. Friday was $35, Saturday was $50, and Sunday was $35. So Saturday is also the more expensive day, but they do things like you can buy the weekend pass, and that was essentially like one of the days was free. So it was $100 in advance. There's always a little bit more at the door. Buy online. If you are interested in panels, they have one that includes priority seating into panels too. So that might be something that would pique your interest if there were like a lot of panels that you were interested in. But I'm glad that we went multiple days because of the cosplaying aspect. So Thursday I got to roam around the floor when it was a little less busy, get the lay of the land, and then Friday I went in with the camera. We did the daily fix there. Got to take video and pictures of some cosplayers. And then Saturday, since like I said, it was my first cosplay experience, it involved wearing gloves that I couldn't use my phone at all the whole day because I couldn't push any of the buttons very well on the phone. And I mean, not all cosplays are going to be like this, I guess. And you'll probably have a bag with you to put your stuff in, but it does it does change the experience a little bit, because then it's like, well, I didn't really want to go into any of the panels per se because I'm in my Red Ranger costume, and it's like I had a shield on, so it was kind of like I don't want to like bump into people or whatever. Also, I feel like I'm exposed to the entire world in this.
Well, of course you're exposing yourself. You know that cosplay means consent.
Yeah. Yes, as all the signs reminded us, it does not mean consent. But yeah, so you know, it's tough to go into a panel all dressed up and stuff like that. And I'm not one to go back to my car and change in my clothes. You know, change in it's hard to get into that. I don't want to be struggling to get out of that in a small car. So, but that's where the benefit of staying at one of the hotels might come in too for these people that are really into it or from out of town. It's really convenient to be able to just walk in, but it does change the experience, because also people want to take a picture with you. It's like what you said, and it's very flattering when somebody does come up and say like, "Hey, can I take a photo with you?" So Saturday I did the Red Ranger by myself. I ran into a Rita from the show, which was great, and a Rita from the movie, which was great. And then I found out on just a couple of days ago, apparently was in the list of the Orlando Weekly published the best cosplay at MegaCon, and I'm in that with Rita. So check that out. But that was really cool. But then Sunday we did a full team up, and I was the Blue Power Ranger, and we worked really hard on these costumes and getting all the pieces together, and you made some of it and stuff. And Sunday we couldn't walk 2 feet. It's because we were a full team and we had the weapons from the show, so every 2 feet people stopped, and it was very flattering. But I can see how it can get like tough on people, because whatever your costume is, you're committed to wearing that. So it's a helmet that I'm breathing into my own face, and it like would fog up, and then I couldn't see very well. And like I mean, don't get me wrong, I had a blast and I loved it. And anybody that was like, "Can I take a picture with you?" I was like, "You just made my life right here." So it was cool, but it can be tough too, because there's a lot of people doing it. You're bumping around. You don't really want to be there to be shopping or browsing when you're in your cosplay, for me at least.
Yeah.
So that's why I always recommend for anybody, like, if you're going to do it, give yourself a day or at least a couple hours in the day to just be in your regular comfortable clothes.
Yeah.
Go around.
Okay, so what would you consider to be your highlight or a highlight of the event?
Well, for me, it was the cosplay. It was really fun because it was just like some friends from out of town came in and did it, and it was just fun to go in a group. And it was fun to see like everybody get excited. Everybody's excited here, and I love seeing people get excited for these costumes or, these because sometimes it's just little stuff that you think just has a little fandom. So when you see people that are like, I love this thing, or you saw the guy dressed as Darkwing Duck, or I love stuff like the Yondu Mary Poppins that we saw. It was there's a lot of really cool things like that. So I would say for me, my highlight was that. The best thing for me is walking through Artist Alley. That's my favorite thing to do there. But
like for me, I think the highlight was actually just getting the chance to talk to Tom Wilson, having the opportunity to be able to talk to any of the people that were there. I do like that. Well, I have I'm still back and forth on it. My moral issues with paying for photos with celebrities.
Yeah.
First off, when my wife asks to take a photo with one of her favorite celebrities, even if it costs money, I don't say no.
Yeah.
So that's why that even happened there. And then, but because I feel like I'd have a better experience if you just randomly bump into them.
You like the organic.
Yeah, I like the organic way to meet them, but I do enjoy that this does put them out front and center, so that way you do have the ability to meet them and you can say hi and thank them for their work.
Or say like what it means to you.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I think that's a highlight of having a convention like MegaCon or any convention come around, is that it provides those opportunities for you. A low light for me will be, I think that the event is great. I don't necessarily think that all 4 days are necessary. You have to be like willing to change costumes, do like you said. You have to have a lot at stake in going to this event if you really want to spread out your time here. And so I think there is enough for one solid packed day between panels, celebrities, and walking the floors. I think you can get everything done in one day. And the reason why I think it might be something to do too, I know it's not MegaCon that decides this. It's the convention center. But I hate having to pay $10 for parking every single day you go in there. It's
because if you go every day, it's $40 add-on now, and you're like, I already paid $100 for the ticket, and then I'm going to pay to meet people inside too.
Yeah, and the ticket I think is a great price for that 4-day pass. Even for a single day pass, only $50 for that Saturday one. That's still not a bad price for the amount of enjoyment and fun you can get out of it. But then throw on parking too. I hate that so much. So maybe, if you are coming from out of town, stay at a hotel close by so you can walk there. Don't think like I'm going to get a rental car and then you're going to end up getting stuck.
And parking can be a nightmare here too. It's just the way the convention center is set up. It kind of funnels down really quickly, and you're all being parked in the same area. So you really have to budget that in there. Like get in early because it'll back up to the highway. It'll back up the back roads. But one thing that we thought about doing, and I'm just noticing on the website now too, is there are free parking garages along I-Drive, and they are a little far away. But you could, if you're with a group and you're not like dressed up and you feel comfortable doing it, meet in the garage and then Uber over.
Yeah.
Or take a Lyft, because it looks like on the website on Lyft you could have done. There's a code, Ride to MegaCon, and it offered you $5 off your next 4 rides. So there's always things like that going on, and that's a really cool thing to. Might make it a little more affordable.
Yeah, no, if you have a group of 3 or 4 people and you could do an Uber or a Lyft over, I think then it would work out cost-wise. It's cheaper to park and then get a ride over there. But if not, it's if you're just going by yourself, it's going to cost you more to Uber back and forth from there than it would be to just pay to park. So that's my only. The same thing happened with Star Wars there when we went to that convention center.
Yeah.
It's just an extra annoyance. It feels like it's unnecessary. Sell a parking pass, $20.
Oh, I was just going to say, I wish there was a pass you could buy and download and like put it online. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like you paid ahead of time, and then that would also feel like free up the congestion. Because if I could have just bought it online and gone through, then it would have been great.
Yeah.
So but there are. So we talk. I just want to mention briefly too. There are some other random things that aren't. It's not all exhibitors. It's not all art. It's not all celebrities. It's not all cosplay. There's other like random, like you can be like, they had the DeLorean there. They had like, it's just a lot of random every now and then there's a really, I don't even know how to experience. Like,
Yeah, no, it's companies will bring in experiences so that way you have something a little bit to do. Like 5 Hour Energy had a
yeah, that
giant
was a big
setup
one.
with an interactive thing. Like you said, there was you get to do a VR version of riding in the DeLorean, where they also then had two pro cosplayers dressed up like Marty and
Yeah, Marty and Doc, or was it Marty and Biff?
no, it was
Because there was
Marty.
I saw a cosplay Biff, or like a professional. He
No.
was like the Biff lookalike or something.
I didn't see that. That'd be awesome.
yeah.
They had like a Walking Dead style thing too, where you just walk in and they had someone who was professionally looking like
I mean, he
like
looked
Rick
a lot
and-
like Rick.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy, and I always wonder, was that like that show came out and that guy was watching that show and was like, oh, I've got it. That guy was just like genetic code lucky that he looks exactly like Andrew Lincoln.
Yeah.
Like, exactly like Andrew Lincoln.
No,
it was crazy.
It was very impressive.
There was
so.
a Fish Mooney and the Penguin from Gotham. There was a little setup for
Yeah.
them too. But yeah, they'll have like the celebrity cosplayers. I don't know who they are, but that were there too. Some of them I knew Yaya, I think, because I think she does fabric. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Like we said, there is an app that they've created finally too. So if you are interested in seeing like what went on or what the schedule was, you can download the MegaCon app and it'll tell you everything in there, which is really cool. But let me see. I'll just read some more of the highlights really quick that I have here. So I said the thing, there were 2 proposals and then the renewal. They also did a Love is Love. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this. It was this comic graphic novel that was created to raise money for for Pulse and everything. And so MegaCon Orlando came together with Mark. Oh my gosh, I don't know how to say this. And Dracos, the DC Comics, for Love is Love project. They hosted a live art auction, anyways, to honor the victims of the Pulse nightclub massacre, and they raised $10,000. And that the proceeds went to Equality Florida, which is Florida's civil rights leader working for the LGBT community. So that is really, I thought that was really cool.
That is.
There were some really cool costumes out there. There were some street sharks. I don't know if you saw those ever, or you remember that cartoon at all?
I remember the cartoon. I don't remember seeing them.
Oh, it was pretty intense. And there was also a really cool. I didn't see it, but they sent me the link to it. A Demigorgon, right? That's what it's called from Stranger Things. I believe the child or the kid or. It was a youth, excuse me. Won. I want to see where's name. Okay, Sammy as the Demigorgon.
Oh.
He won in his category, and
That's
I was
cute.
like, yeah, that's really cool. So, again, like really cool highlights. They had the tattoo alley, like you love.
I do not love
I
that.
know you know, but they had it. I think it was a lot of the same people that were here for Star Wars because it was like I recognize some of the names and stuff. But
Support your local ink shop.
yes. But like I said, a lot of stuff to do, a lot of stuff to cover. It was fun, and I will go again next year. And I actually might. When the Tampa one rolls around, I'll probably only go for like a day, maybe 2 days. We'll see who the big guests are for that one.
For me, if you're not going to cosplay, then figure out if there's a celebrity that will draw you in there, and if there is a celebrity that will draw you in, figure out which day they're going to be there, and then make that decision that you're going to go that day.
Yeah.
Don't. Also, be smart about it. Don't just because you see that celebrity coming the one time, don't be fooled into thinking like, oh, this is going to be my only chance to meet them.
Right.
Stranger Things kids, you're going to be meeting them a lot until that show's over, and then even probably
then.
for the next 20 years after that.
I read this whole thing actually recently that like actors and people are trying to get into genre-based TV or movies more at least once in their career because it essentially guarantees you're going to have income for the rest of your life. Because when like Chris Hemsworth or Chris Evans or not Chris Evans, Captain America, what's his name? What's Captain America's name? Chris Evans, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. I thought I said Chris Pine.
I wasn't even listening to you before.
Oh, well, okay. Anyway, so they'll go to a convention. They make like $500,000 a weekend. They make $500,000 doing that. I mean, I understand they're currently in the movie and it is a big name, but like imagine like those little celebrities. They're making a couple grand from this. Like, and it is their work and their livelihood, and they have to travel and be away from home and everything like that. But It's just interesting. It's just
Oh, I would say they make. I don't know what they make, but I would not be surprised if they make at least double digits in the thousands.
Yeah.
To show up to these appearances. I mean, you know.
Well-
They're not current. A lot of them aren't currently making movie star monies because they're not movie stars anymore.
or they're
but that
like
doesn't mean they're
yeah,
not
they haven't
still.
like working. Yeah. So so would you recommend this convention?
Yes, I recommend it based on, but then the amount of days you go is based on your needs. So like I said, if you're going to cosplay and stuff, you're probably going to want to go all 4. If you're just looking for celebrities and get an idea of the experience, you're going to be fine with 1. And if you've listened to all of this and you say, none of this sounds like it's right up my alley, then I wouldn't, just don't go.
Yeah,
Go
don't-
spend
I mean,
your money
if
on
you got
something
if
else.
you got a group of friends that are going and you want to see it through somebody's eyes who loves it, I mean, that's always an experience. You know, this was Eli's first experience. He really liked Artist Alley, and like I said, like that's a place I like to walk through multiple times. I like to go through, just kind of take in the lay of the land, and then get more detailed. Go through, talk to those guys, find those pieces of art for gifts, like I said earlier, and stuff like that. And that for me, I like to do over like multiple days.
Yeah.
But not in my costume. So, I would definitely recommend it. Next year, it's going to be from May 24th to the 27th, 2018, and I will definitely be at that one. Who knows what the cosplay will be, but I will do it again. But I don't know how into this I'm going to get. Although I think I want to do a Star-Lord cosplay. Because
There was none of those
Guardians.
this year.
Not even a single one with Baby Groot on his shoulder. But there was one with Baby Groot on his shoulder, and it was great. But anyway, if you're looking to go to one in the Tampa area, there's one September 29th to October 1st, and there's only so far the big 2 announced for that are Jason Mewes and Kevin Smith, which is still pretty cool. So we'll see what happens. But yes, is it? Does anybody out there have a convention they do? Do you guys cosplay? Are you dressing up? Are you thinking about cosplaying? Because I'd be interested in hearing. You know, where that lies. Essentially, cosplay is just, it's Halloween on a different day of the year. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
Like, I love Halloween, so I'm not one of those people who's like, it's got to be identical. I'm more like, you can kind of do and be whatever you want to be. Like, there was a great Austin Powers cosplay.
Yeah.
My dad would have loved it. And there was a really good Ace Ventura one. I don't know if you ran into that one because I wasn't with you on that day, but yeah. So it can be whatever it wants to be.
That was my bad. This is why you should not.
He's playing me out.
That's why you should not be screwing around. Pay attention to the other person.
Well, I think that'll be where we close it up here. And hopefully later this week, if you're listening to this whenever this goes out, hopefully there'll be another episode for you people who aren't interested in MegaCon at all. Maybe there's a review of, maybe a light review of Wonder Woman and The Mummy or something like that. Something fun. And then we've got Cars 3 coming up. So I know it's been very movie-heavy review lately, but tis the season.
Yeah.
For movies, and we love movies, and that's what we're talking about. So, so that'll do for now for this convention. You'll hear more about conventions when we go to D23, and not but 1 month and 1 week's time from now. Actually, it'll be like 1 month this weekend, but
That's way too soon.
yeah. So we got to start getting ready for that. So until next time, that'll do it for this episode of DIS Pop.